I found out my husband had a second family, but he didn't expect me to meet them before he did. I thought my wife and I had the perfect marriage: open communication, shared goals, and a solid foundation of trust. But then one day, everything changed. It started with a small, innocent discovery, the kind of thing you wouldn't even think twice about. But as I dug deeper, I uncovered a secret so shocking it felt like my entire world had flipped upside down. My wife had a second family. And the craziest part? I met them before she even realized I knew about them. It all started with a business trip. Hers, not mine. My wife, Emily, works in marketing, and her job occasionally takes her out of town for a few days. This time, she was heading to a city about 2 hours away, nothing unusual. She'd gone on similar trips before, and I never had any reason to doubt her. But when she left that morning, she forgot something. Her laptop. I didn't think much of it at first. She had her work laptop with her, so this one, her personal one, didn't seem like a big deal. Still, I figured I'd call her and let her know. When I called, she didn't pick up, which wasn't strange since she was probably driving. But as I sat there with her laptop on the table, I noticed it wasn't fully shut down. It was just in sleep mode. Normally I wouldn't snoop, but a notification popped up on the screen, an email from someone named Alex. The subject line read, "Can't wait to see you again." I froze. It wasn't unusual for Emily to get emails from colleagues, but something about the wording and the fact that it was on her personal email made me pause. Curiosity got the better of me, and before I knew it, I clicked on the email. What I read didn't make any sense. "The kids are so excited to spend time with you again this weekend. I've told them all about the surprise you planned." I stared at the email, my mind racing. Kids? Surprise? What was this guy Alex even talking about? Emily and I didn't have kids, and as far as I knew, she didn't have plans for anything other than her work trip. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a work thing, maybe the kids were a metaphor for something, but deep down, I knew that didn't make sense. The tone of the email was too personal, too familiar. My hands were shaking as I closed the laptop and sat back, trying to process what I'd just seen. When Emily called me back a little later, I pretended everything was fine. "Hey," she said cheerfully, "I saw you called. What's up?" "You forgot your laptop," I said, keeping my voice as neutral as possible. "Just wanted to let you know." "Oh," she said, sounding unconcerned. "No big deal. I don't really need it. Thanks for letting me know, though." We chatted for another minute or two, but the entire time, I felt like I was talking to a stranger. Was this the same woman I'd been married to for 5 years? The woman I thought I knew inside and out? After we hung up, I went back to her laptop. I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't stop myself. I opened her email and started searching for more messages from Alex. What I found made my stomach drop. Dozens of emails spanning months, all of them talking about weekends, kids, and moments that didn't include me. The more I read, the worse it got. Alex wasn't just some casual acquaintance. From the emails, it was clear they had a full-blown life together. Or rather, Emily had a full-blown life with him. They talked about their kids, their plans, and even mundane things like grocery shopping and school drop-offs. It was like I was peering into an alternate universe where my wife wasn't my wife at all. One email, in particular, hit me like a punch to the gut. Alex wrote, "I know it's hard balancing everything, but I'm so proud of you for keeping it all together. You're an amazing mom and partner. I don't know how you do it." Amazing mom? Partner? I could barely breathe as I pieced it all together. Emily wasn't just living a double life. She was a mother to kids I had no idea existed. My mind flashed to every moment we'd spent together, every time she'd gone on a business trip. It all felt like a carefully constructed lie. I knew I needed answers, but confronting her outright didn't feel like the right move. Not yet. I wanted to know the full truth before I said anything, and that's when I made a decision that would change everything. I was going to find Alex and meet him myself. I didn't even know where to start, but I figured the emails might hold some clues. I scrolled through them carefully, looking for any mention of a specific location. Eventually, I found it. A message from Alex, confirming their plans to meet at a park in the city Emily had supposedly traveled to for her business trip. The park was mentioned several times across their emails. It seemed to be a frequent meeting spot for their little family. My stomach churned as I thought about what that meant. How many times had she been there, living this other life? While I was at home thinking she was working, I decided to drive to the city myself. I told Emily I had a last-minute meeting with a client near her hotel and wouldn't be available for most of the day. She didn't sound suspicious at all, which honestly stung even more. I'd spent years trusting her completely, and now I realized she didn't feel the need to question me because she thought she had her secrets locked down. When I arrived at the park, it was a sunny afternoon, and families were everywhere. Parents chasing their kids, couples walking hand in hand. It looked so normal. My eyes scanned the area, looking for anyone who resembled Emily. Then, near the playground, I spotted them. A man, 2 kids, and a woman sitting on a bench. But the woman wasn't Emily. For a moment, I thought I'd made a mistake. The emails had clearly mentioned this park and this man, Alex, but the woman sitting next to him wasn't Emily. She was laughing with the kids, looking every bit like their mom. My confusion only deepened. I decided to approach them anyway. My heart was pounding as I walked toward the group, rehearsing what I'd say in my head. Alex noticed me first. He looked up, his smile fading slightly as I stopped in front of him. "Hi," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. "I know this is going to sound strange, but are you Alex?" He frowned, clearly puzzled. "Yeah. Do I know you?" "No," I said quickly. "But I think we need to talk. It's about Emily." The mention of her name made his expression shift. He stood up, glancing toward the woman and kids as if to shield them. "I'm sorry, but this isn't a good time," he said, his tone cautious. "I'm not trying to cause trouble," I said, lowering my voice. I need to understand what's going on." He hesitated, looking torn. Finally, he nodded. "Okay, let's step over here." He gestured to a quieter spot away from the playground. The woman gave him a questioning look, but he waved her off with a reassuring smile. Once we were out of earshot, he turned to me. "Who are you, and how do you know Emily?" "I'm her husband," I said, the words feeling heavy as they left my mouth. Alex's face went pale. For a moment, he didn't say anything, just stared at me like he was trying to process what I'd just said. "Her husband?" he finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," I said firmly. "We've been married for 5 years. She told me she was on a business trip right now, but I found emails, your emails, and I needed to know what was going on." He looked like he'd been hit by a truck. "I don't understand," he said, shaking his head. "She told me she was divorced, that her ex was out of the picture completely." "Divorced?" I repeated, the word hitting me like a slap. "She never mentioned any of this to me. Not you, not the kids, nothing." Alex rubbed his temples, clearly overwhelmed. "Wait, are you saying you didn't know about us, about the kids?" "No," I said, my voice trembling. "She never told me she had another family. I didn't even know you existed until I saw the emails." He let out a bitter laugh. "Well, I guess that makes 2 of us. She's been lying to both of us." We stood there in silence for a moment, both trying to wrap our heads around what we'd just learned. Finally, Alex spoke. "I think we need to compare notes, figure out how deep this goes." Reluctantly, I nodded. As much as I hated the idea of digging further into this mess, I needed to know the truth. We found a nearby bench and sat down, both of us still reeling. Alex pulled out his phone, scrolling through emails and photos. "We've been together for 3 years, he said. "She told me she left her ex because he wasn't supportive and didn't want kids. That's why we never talked about her past much. I didn't want to push." 3 years. That meant Emily had been living this double life for the majority of our marriage. My stomach churned as Alex continued. "These are our kids," he said, showing me a picture of 2 smiling children. They looked so innocent, so unaware of the chaos surrounding them. "She's here most weekends," Alex added, "and sometimes she stays for longer stretches, claiming she's traveling for work. I never questioned it. Why would I?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the emails I'd found on her laptop. He scanned them, his face darkening with each passing second. "She's been planning vacations with me and the kids," he said bitterly. "And she's been doing the same with you, hasn't she?" I nodded, feeling like a fool. "She told me she was working late nights or traveling for conferences. I never thought to doubt her, but now I don't even know who she is." Alex leaned back, staring at the sky. "What kind of person does this? How do you maintain 2 entire lives without slipping up?" I didn't have an answer, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just a mistake or a misunderstanding. Emily had deliberately deceived both of us, weaving an intricate web of lies that was now unraveling at full speed. After comparing notes with Alex, it was clear we couldn't let this go unanswered. We both deserved the truth, and Emily needed to face the consequences of her actions. But how? Neither of us wanted to cause a scene in front of the kids or escalate things unnecessarily. "I think we need to confront her together," Alex said finally. "She's been playing us both, and she needs to know we're onto her." The thought made my stomach twist. Confronting her alone was already daunting enough, but doing it alongside Alex? It felt surreal. Still, he had a point. If we approached her together, she couldn't twist the narrative or manipulate one of us against the other. We agreed to wait until she returned to Alex's house that evening. He messaged her casually, confirming she'd be home for dinner. Meanwhile, I waited nearby, trying to calm my nerves and prepare for what was bound to be an explosive encounter. When her car finally pulled into the driveway, I stayed out of sight as Alex greeted her. They walked inside together, and I gave it a minute before following. My heart was pounding as I stepped through the door. Emily was standing in the kitchen, chatting casually with Alex. When she saw me, her face went pale. "Well, what are you doing here?" she stammered, her voice trembling. "We need to talk," I said firmly, glancing at Alex for support. "The truth, Emily, now." Emily froze, her eyes darting between Alex and me like a cornered animal. For a moment, I thought she might try to lie her way out, but then she sighed and sank into a chair. "I guess you both know everything," she said quietly. "Not everything," Alex said, his tone cold. "So start talking. How long has this been going on?" She hesitated, then began to explain. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," she said. "When I met Alex, I didn't think it would get serious. I thought it was just a fresh start, something to escape to when things got too stressful at home." "Stressful?" I repeated, my voice rising. "Emily, we had a good marriage. At least, I thought we did. Was this all a lie?" "No," she said quickly. "It wasn't a lie. I loved you. I still do. But after we got married, I felt like something was missing. I didn't know how to talk to you about it, so I buried it. And then I met Alex. And instead of fixing your problems, you decided to create a whole other life," Alex shot back. "What about the kids? Do they even know about me?" Her silence answered that question. My blood boiled as I realized the extent of her betrayal. She had been living two lives, deceiving not just me and Alex, but the children as well. It wasn't just selfish. It was cruel. "Why didn't you just leave?" I asked, my voice shaking. "If you weren't happy, why didn't you end things instead of dragging us all into this mess?" She buried her face in her hands. "Because I didn't want to lose either of you," she said, her voice muffled. "I didn't know how to choose." Emily's words hung in the air, but they didn't feel like an excuse, just a feeble attempt to justify the unjustifiable. Neither Alex nor I responded for a moment, the weight of everything she'd done pressing down on us. Finally, Alex spoke, his tone sharp. "You didn't want to lose either of us? Well, congratulations. You've lost both." Her head snapped up, her eyes wide. "Alex, please," she started, but he held up a hand to stop her. "Number. You lied to me, to your kids, to everyone. I don't even know who you are anymore," he said, his voice cracking with anger and sadness. "I'm done." I felt a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, even a strange sense of relief that I wasn't the only one who felt this way. "Emily," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady, "this isn't something you can fix with an apology. You broke my trust, and I don't think it can be repaired." Tears streamed down her face, but I didn't feel any sympathy. She had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. Alex and I left together, walking out of the house without looking back. Outside, we stood in silence for a moment before he turned to me. "What now?" he asked. "I guess we move on," I said, though the words felt hollow. Moving on felt like an impossible task at that moment, but I knew it was the only option. In the weeks that followed, I started the difficult process of untangling my life from Emily's. It wasn't easy, but with time, I began to rebuild, one step at a time. Alex and I stayed in touch for a while, sharing updates and supporting each other through the chaos she'd left behind. Knowing I wasn't alone in this made it a little easier to move forward. This experience taught me a hard truth. Sometimes, the people we trust the most can let us down in unimaginable ways. But it also showed me the importance of resilience and the strength it takes to start over. Have you ever discovered a shocking truth about someone close to you? How did you handle it? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear how others have navigated these difficult moments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories about life's unexpected twists and turns. Thanks for watching.